The woman in your life will do what she must do to comfort you and calm you down and let you rest now. The woman in your life, she can rest so easily. She knows everything you do because the woman in your life is you.
Hello everybody and welcome to Women's Spaces. My name is Elaine B. Holtz and I'm your host. And as always, I am thrilled about today's show. I have a wonderful, wonderful guest with me by the name of Dianna L, Ph.D. I just love that she has a Ph.D. I'm so proud of her. And I'm really excited because we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that's self-esteem. But before we get into the show, I have a very, very important announcement to make. I am so proud to announce that Supervisor Mike McGuire has appointed me to be on the Human Rights Commission, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am. Why am I so thrilled? To begin with, the Human Rights, Declaration of Human Rights, was written in 1948 by Eleanor Roosevelt, and I'm going to flash a picture of her on the screen here. There she is holding up the first draft of the Declaration of Human Rights that was written in 1948. And what's so interesting about this declaration is how it came about. And we really need to pay attention to how it happened to come about. It was a result of World War II because of what happened in Nazi Germany. Can you imagine 6 million Jews were sent to the gas chambers, and also an additional 2 million, which included people who were developmentally disabled and also gypsies. And when you start thinking about that 8 million people were killed, just their lives just taken away, not only their lives but their properties. It was such a violation of human rights. And Eleanor Roosevelt was so upset during the time that Franklin Delano Roosevelt was in office during World War II that they could do very, very little to help the people in these countries. So when the war ended and the United Nations was formed and became a bit more of a power center to assure that maybe as a planet, as countries could start getting along, they decided that they were going to have a Declaration of Human Rights, which was just, to me, was just amazing. So the fact that I've been appointed to the commission is such an honor. So I want to flash one more time. I just want to flash Eleanor Roosevelt's picture, and I want to say, Eleanor Roosevelt, thank you so much for putting in the energy and the time to write this such an important document. And I am so proud, and I want to do a special shout out to Board of Supervisors Mike McGuire, not only for appointing me, but he's on his way to be a state senator for the state of California. So this is very, very exciting time. Well, lots to think about for sure. And that's what Women's Spaces is all about. Thinking and getting involved in community, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about ways to enhance our self-esteem, which will enable us to get out more in the community and talk about some of the important things that are going on. But without further ado, I would like to introduce my special guest, Dianna L. Dianna, welcome once again to Women's Spaces.
Thank you, Elaine. So happy to be here.
Oh, I just love you. You're just I have to say, you're one of my favorite guests. And I would like to just tell my viewers just a little bit about Dianna L. Dianna L has a Ph.D., which I'm very proud of, and she's also a marriage and family therapist in Northern California. And she counsels children, teens, adults, couples, families from diverse backgrounds. And she's been doing this for over 17 years. She's also was a foster parent for many, many years. I understand you foster parented somewhat like 26 children, which just is amazing. And she's also an author on books that deal with self-esteem and children's issues. So welcome, Dianna. Anything that you would like to add to what I have said just now?
Well, I think you've covered most of it, but a couple things. I also created a Stepping into Fierceness Workshop that and we talked about that before, but just to let people who haven't heard me before speak about the stepping into fierceness, because
it's all around self-esteem. It's around the negative voices that show up in our lives that prevent us from showing up and being our authentic selves. So I'm really proud of that workshop that I created. Also, one more thing that I'm interested in is empowering women. And we created a group called Sisters Rising. And it's 5 phenomenal women helping to bring forth other women to be phenomenal. So it's beautiful. So those are the other things that I'm involved in. And I'm doing spoken word in that group. So it's all about empowerment.
Well, you know, I saw a performance of Sisters Rising, and I have to say it was just fantastic. I mean, it was beyond anything that I've seen, and congratulations on that also. Well, Dianna, you know, we're going to be talking about self-esteem, but most of us, we come from a background where maybe our self-esteem is not the way it should be, and that's what kind of motivates us to start working and not only talking about the topic, but working on it for ourselves individually. So give us a little background. How did you ever get involved with this particular topic, and why is it so important to you?
Well, it all started for me, Elaine, when I was a young kid on the playground and noticing other kids and how they're being treated. The ones who are shy, the ones who are always picked last on the basketball court or any kind of game situation on the playground. And something inside of me would go to those kids and embrace them and empower them and tell them that they're okay. And as the years went by, I realized that is what I needed as a child. I needed somebody to cheer me on and to let me know that I was okay and to elicit my greatness. And that didn't happen for me and my family. I felt squelched, and I felt like I used the symbol a lot. I was stuck in a box. And as I grew up and became a therapist and being in relationships, I noticed how people are in boxes. We live in boxes. We are not able to be our true selves, our true essence. And that's the number one issue when I talk to people in therapy, as a therapist. They don't feel like they can speak their truth. They can say who they are. They can say what they want or what they need.
You know, it's interesting that you said that. I want to share a little secret about me to both you and to my viewers, is that when I was growing up, in kindergarten of all things, they wrote on my report card, Elaine should understand that children should be seen and not heard. Well, what do you think that did to me? And that's why I'm such a big promoter of self-esteem issues and looking at them. Well, you know, we've had you on before. We've talked about your Fierceness Workshops, and people can go on www.womenspaces.com and they can see the little promo that we did about the workshop. But right now, what we're really interested in talking about is you've written a new book called Journaling, a Workbook to Transform Your Self-Esteem. And on the cover, what you wrote is very, very interesting to me, and that is the statement, your life is literally in your own hands. What do you mean by that?
Holding the book. Put the book in your hand, and your life is literally right there, meaning that the journey inside is all about you. This journey can change your life. It's like a play on words. Here it is, the opportunity for you to change your life. It's right here. All the information that's in the book is going to help you connect more with your life.
Well, you know, it's interesting because oftentimes people hear, oh, you're too self-centered if you're going to worry about yourself, or you're egotistical. You know, how do you feel, how does that change in your mind when you're working with people on self-esteem, and particularly with this book?
Well, that's really interesting you say that, Elaine, because some people can be egotistical or, both, trying to be like all this and, powerful. But inside, I hear it and I see it all the time. Bullies probably have the most lowest self-esteem ever. It's a cover-up. So it's totally different. When you have high self-esteem, you can walk through your life and be whole and be true. You don't have to put on a facade. You don't have to put on a air of greatness, but you can just be great. It's sort of like the Karate Kid. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and and it's sort of like that kind of mentality. I can have this, I can be a martial arts specialist, but I don't have to go out into the world and beat people up. I can just walk with that confidence.
So what you're saying mainly is that self-esteem is really self-confidence. Once you start going inside. And start learning about yourself, and you start developing your own self-confidence, then you have more self-esteem, and you can go out in the world and present yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to pretend. You don't have to be what somebody else wants you to be. You can be yourself. And that's hidden a lot, and people don't even know who they are mostly, because somebody has directed them and made them be in this position, in this box. So my work is to dismantle the box. This book helps people to look at themselves, to dismantle those parameters that's been set by family and by society. You know, so.
Well, no, I can't agree with you more. You know, I do the self-esteem, like my self-esteem does not depend on anything outside of me. It depends on my relationship with myself, and I say the great woohoo or the higher power. And it's a hard concept, because I noticed even when my grandson was growing up and some of the issues that he had in elementary school, you know, being a boy, having lots of energy, and then all the teachers saying, well, you're a bad boy, or, you know, go in the corner, you're not going to amount to anything, and then all those things build up. Well, what are some of the things in the book itself, and I'm going to flash a picture of the book while you're talking, is what are some ideas that you give your readers when they're reading? What are some of the things that are included in the book to help them raise their self-esteem?
Well, my book, it has tons of exercises. We talk about shame and self-esteem, self-image. We talk about communication. How do you communicate to other people about what you feel? How much do you limit yourself? What do you take out? How much you edit? Conflict resolution. You know, that's, you know, public speaking is a fear. Conflict is a fear as well. Having conflict with someone else and how to deal with the conflict is another fear. It's way on the charts. We talk about fear demystification. I take people through steps. I have journal topics, 25 journal topics, from childhood to adulthood, to the things that you like about yourself, to the things that you don't like about yourself. The journal topics come in 4 parts. There's a journal topic, and I have you write. So this is a journey throughout the book. So, so the first journal topic could be, so let me just explain the journal topic. So you have a journal topic. I give you questions to answer, to elicit from you. And then you write about those journals, those questions. And then in the process, you write a poem. So I give you a page to write a poem or a song. And then the next page is art and images. And I got this from my own therapy process. This is how I came up with this idea, to share it, because it worked for me.
So it sounds like this is more, you're taking what you've learned yourself on your own personal journey. You know, one of the things that I'm curious about, do you come up with themes, particularly with women, or do you find there's 1 or 2 or maybe 3 issues that really kind of jump out all the time?
Well, yeah, like communication, being able to just say what you feel. They feel like there's going to be some kind of repercussion if I say that you hurt my feelings. They're going to feel that, what's going to happen? This person might leave me, or they're going to yell at me or hurt me in some way. So women, yeah, conflict and communication is a big one. Let's see, what else would they deal with? So those are the 2 major concerns with women around self-esteem. They feel like they should be in a place. You know, it's just the hierarchy thing with men and women. Women, it's weird. It's weird, Elaine, that you bring this up, because I'm thinking about kids in elementary school. Girls have more power when they're in elementary school. And then as soon as they start hitting puberty, prepubescent age, they change. Like the dynamics change, and they lose all of who they are.
Because all of a sudden, you know, they got to appear for boys. They have to have a boyfriend. They have to have a relationship.
It's debilitating, that whole process of not being able. So that's why I am so involved in the women movement, because I want women to be equals and to show up and not to feel depowered and be in this box, because women are brilliant. Women can do so much.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because, you know, this is women's spaces, and I'm very, very specific when I take an interview. No, it has to be a woman. And people say, well, you're a sexist, or no, women need a voice, and we need a voice where we can be heard and paid attention to. And this helps our esteem, knowing there's something they can identify with. I mean, that's just my opinion. What's interesting about the communications thing, and also that you talk about when young girls reach puberty, because I think that's when all of a sudden the body images start. I'm too fat, or I'm too thin, or, you know, I don't look good enough. So what are some of the ways through your journal workshop and through your book that people can start to look at that and start overcoming it?
Well, the negative voices, and we have to learn, we have to go back. A lot of clients and a lot of people do not want to do the work, Elaine. I have to say this, I want to be honest. They don't want to do the work in the book because it's going to take a lot of energy. But with the negative voices, we have to start with, where are those negative voices? You have to be able to be aware of them, and to be able to say, oh, that's a negative voice, because some people think that's who they are, and it's not who they are. This is the voices that they learned and they brought into their lives throughout their childhood, and the messages from society, the messages from parents. You know, you can't do that, don't do that. So something happens when a parent tells a kid, you can't do that, or you're stupid, or you're dumb. They take those negative voices into their lives. And so in all their relationships, they're feeling like, oh, I shouldn't do that. They feel limited. Oh, I shouldn't do that. I'm dumb, I'm stupid. So the negative voices, they have to become aware that they are doing this, and then begin to change it. They have to then begin to the inner child. I do an inner child section as well. It's like rebirthing the child again, beginning to feed that little innocent girl or boy some positives. And in that process, it's life-changing. I went through that for myself. I had to bring forth my little girl because she was squelched. So I would cry and let her know that she was wonderful and that I would take care of her. So it's a new dance in life, and you have to take a lot of risks. People have to take risks. Make a list. This is a simple exercise. Is to make a list of all those things that you want to do, and below each one of them, write the reasons why you're not doing those things. And you can see that it's all about fear. And so I work a lot with fear in the book. It's a lot about fear, Elaine. People can do just about anything. I work with clients, and it could be 6, 7, 8 months or a year on just something really, to me, is small, but to them, over the years, they have built so much that the fear is like so humongous that they can't even see through it.
You know, it's interesting too, as you're talking, I was thinking about how generation after generation after generation that you pass things on. I was thinking about my grandmother, who was very negative, and one time I came and I told her something very positive about myself, and she says, oh, don't brag. She says that you're going to put a curse on yourself. So what started happening to me, I kept very quiet about anything that I accomplished. I wouldn't tell anybody. And it was interesting, particularly since I've just gotten this appointment, what a big deal it is that I actually got in the paper, and I actually was able to announce it on my radio show and now here, which is really a stretch for me, because I actually thought, well, are people going to think I'm bragging? Instead of me just giving information, right away you put a negative connotation on it. So is that kind of what you're talking about, that self-talk really kind of puts you back in the box and stops you from moving forward? Would you?
Yes, exactly. I love that example. Yeah, you want to Yeah, it's disheartening that so many people are in a box. You want to create opportunity for yourself to take more risk, to feel yourself in a situation that you thought was threatening. And Elaine, that is so wonderful that you speak about yourself so openly like this, so that you can go out and you're not bragging, you're just showing up.
Exactly.
You're just showing up. And for me, Elaine, when I was young, I had a fear of public speaking, and I would shy away. And I heard people talk all the time, and sometimes, to be honest, they were like talking nonsense because I know what I was thinking in my head, you know? But that was that fear of like, oh, they can just say nonsense, but what I want to say is something important. So why not say what we need to say that's important? So that's a great example, what you just shared about your own experience. You're not bragging. We need to hear your voice. We need voices.
Women's voices. Yes, there used to be a paper called Women's Voices. Well, as we kind of start wrapping up here, who do you think benefits from this, from your particular book? And, you know, do you have a specific audience, or is it just everybody? And what do you see for the future, for what you're doing personally with all this wonderful knowledge that you're sharing with people?
Yeah, this book is, I made it easy, I made it simple language. You know, it's great for the teenager, to the therapist, to the psychologist. The range is there for the lay person. I wanted anybody who needed this book to grab it. Anybody suffering, anybody wanting to build their self-esteem, anybody who's wants to do a self-exploration, just a self-exploration. I had this one woman using this book, an 83-year-old woman, the first time she ever wrote a poem. She was so pleased, and she shared that poem with me, and it was so profound and so powerful. So it's for all those people who are really wanting to do the work, Elaine. It's so important. I encourage people to do the work. I want to have every woman with this book in their hands and use it to take the journey, just to see what maybe there are some kinks in their lives that's missing something. This book can open up that door and help them see that. I would like to do groups. I would like to do young women. My group, Sisters Rising, we're at Sonoma State University, and we did a performance. And these young women were just glued to us, which was very powerful. And I want to reach those young women in college. They have to go through so much. You know, the self-esteems are so low in college. And the peer pressure and the achievement statuses and the relationship, got to have a boyfriend kind of, you know, thing, and the competition. So I really want to empower the young women at Sonoma State or any college around the world, you know. So
well, one thing you talk about young college students, you know, it's how you feel about yourself. You know, when you feel good about yourself, you do good work. When you don't feel good about yourself, you want to give up. You know, and it's like one of the things that I learned, one of the biggest things I learned, there's no such thing as failure. You know, oftentimes we fail and we feel so horrible. When failures really find out more facts and maybe try again, but what ends up happening because our self-esteem is so low that we just can't move forward. Well, this is a conversation that we could have forever and ever, and what I'd like you to do right now is look over here to the camera, let people know your website, and any just message that you would like to give our viewers. Remember, this is Women's Spaces. Please be my guest. Just look at this camera straight on.
www.Dr. Dianna, DiannaGrayer.com. That's my website. And my email is DrDiannaGrayer.com. Soar at DrDiannaGrayer.com. And it'd be great to hear from you and check out my other books as well.
And any little message you'd like to give the folks that are watching?
The message I want to give is that you deserve your freedom to be yourself. self. This is so important to me. And from where I sit, I see that people are afraid to step into their fierceness, and I encourage you that you matter and that you deserve to be free.
Well, Dianna Gregor, I could not have said it any better. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on Women's Spaces and for sharing this wonderful, wonderful information. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
Oh,
Elaine.
Just wonderful. Thank you. And to my viewers, my goodness, this was just wonderful. I'm going to go ahead and identify here Women's Spaces. This was just a wonderful interview with me and with Dianna. I mean, I just have so much respect for her and so much respect for the idea of self-esteem, because without self-esteem, we can't speak out. And that's the problem with our culture. Not enough women speak out. Not enough of us are standing up to the plate and saying, look, enough is enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's getting out of hand. Life is getting out of hand. We're just having all kinds of wars going on, cutting education, what they're doing with the XL pipeline. You know, people have got to learn to speak out, and they have to learn that they are important and that what they have to say matters and what they desire matters. And I love what Dianna said about making a list of things that you'd like to do, and then underneath say, why aren't I doing it? And then start working towards finding ways to overcome that big word that I hate, can't. I hate that word, can't. I can't do this. I can't do that. I remember when I was ill and I was learning how to walk all over again, and I told my daughter, I said, I can't do this. I can't do this. And she looked at me. She says, Mother, all the years you've been telling me not to use the word can't, and you're using the word can't? No, you can learn to walk again. And you know, that whole attitude really got me up. And there I was, doing what I was supposed to do, walking. Anyway, this is Elaine B. Holtz. You've been listening to Women's Spaces, and I want to thank you for the bottom of my heart for tuning in, and I look forward to being with you the next time.
Woman in your life will do what she must do to comfort you and calm you down and let you rest now. The woman in your life, she can rest so easily. She knows everything you do because the woman in your life is you. The woman in your life knows simply what is true. She knows a simple way to touch to make you whole now. The woman in your life, she can touch so easily. She knows everything you do because the